All right. So, first thing, I'm just going to kind of guide us. Look, I'm the guide, and you two are the commentators. Okay.
All right.
Like everybody knows my opinion, anyways. So we're not worried about me.
Everyone could probably guess mine.
Everybody knows you're like a coloring book, son.
Yeah.
Everybody knows yours before you open your mouth. All right. So Ahsoka, and this kind of lets you guys see where we are as a channel. We posted this 2 days ago. After episode 5 of Ahsoka, the series is great, 35%. 1 out of 3 people said it was great. It's good at 20%. So we got 55% of our audience saying it's good to great. Then we got 20% at average, and then 11% below average, and 14% is terrible. So average to terrible is at 45%, but average to great is 75%. So, far more people thinking it's great or good rather than below average or terrible. Where would you guys select?
I voted on this poll for my personal account, and I was one of the below average people.
Okay. All right.
I don't hate the Ahsoka series, like from episode 1 to episode 5. It's not like I think every single thing from start to finish is just trash. Like anything Disney Star Wars, I can cherry pick moments and stuff out of it where I'm like, that's pretty cool. I actually like that moment. Cinematography looks good. This dialogue or this interaction with these characters was cool, whatever. But I don't get drawn in by the jingling keys nostalgia bait. Some could say that was the case with the Luke Skywalker moment. But the Luke Skywalker moment at the end of Mando season 2, there was actual stakes involved. Everybody was about to die. Those dark troopers were coming in and getting ready to wipe them all out. Luke, as far as we knew, was the last Jedi in the galaxy. It only made sense that he was going to show up, even though I didn't think they were ever going to do it. For him to show up and wreck house and save the day. So that had some weight to it. It had some purpose, the writing behind it and everything. It made sense.
That's it. It made sense.
It made sense.
That's all I wanted to say. Like the Luke chapter made sense. You got it. You didn't have to question.
Yeah. The Ahsoka thing, just because Anakin showed up, which I thought I appreciate that Hayden's getting a lot of love because he got a lot of hate during the prequels. I thought his performance was fine in it, but overall, it didn't make sense. I was just lost. Was it really Anakin? Was it not? And then the backlash from that is like everybody thinks that, oh, it's so simple. How could you not understand what was going on? And then there's 5 different theories, which I'm sure we'll probably get into later on the show. And so it's like nobody else can agree on what was happening either. They all have their own perspective on it. And to me, I was just like, I completely lost, and it made no sense. What was the purpose of any of that other than to just jingle the keys in front of you guys and be like, remember Anakin, remember Rex, remember the Clone Wars? Come on, guys, you like this stuff, right? Get excited, and I'm just not I'm just not falling for that. I'm not going to get drawn in and hooked by nostalgia bait. It's got to have some purpose, some meaning, and it's got to make sense. And it just didn't for me. And that's where I'm at on episode 5. Derek?
Let me just chime in just for a second. Then I'm going to hand it off to you, Derek. I think Nick and I both kind of misspeak occasionally. We understand the purpose of the moment. The purpose of the moment was to move Ahsoka forward, to let her, to get the guilt or whatever out of her, and she chooses life and she's fighting, and now for the rest of the series, we're going to get a better version of Ahsoka. That was the purpose. The question's not the purpose. The question is, what is actually happening? Are they really in the world between worlds? Is that really Anakin? Is she floating in the water or not? Like, there's so many questions. How did she freaking get there? Is that the world between worlds? I don't see any gates. She just literally transfigured into somewhere else. She's got instant transmission. Goku. I mean, so there's a lot of questions there. We get the purpose. It's the what is actually happening, So go ahead, DA.
Well, going back to the poll, where you had, because I voted in that same poll as well. And I voted average. That's where I'm at with the Ahsoka right now. I think it's average. And I've been kind of at the average mark since the first episode. I've been saying it's average Star Wars. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's just kind of right there in the middle. Now, I've been leaning towards the below average, in regards to, okay, this is kind of a below average. If I had to say which way am I leaning, I'm leaning more towards below average than good. After episode 5, however, I'm starting to tick it up a little bit. I'm starting to move closer to the good. I'm still at average, but I'm moving closer to the good range. I'm thinking like, all right, I see what they're doing with Ahsoka. Like you said, this was the thing that Ahsoka needed in her journey to kind of move forward. She needed to deal with Darth Vader. She needed to deal with her past with Anakin, and it's discussed in that entire sequence. Now, I agree with you. It's like, well, is she in the world between worlds? Is this some sort of a near-death experience? Is this some sort of force manifestation that, like, what's happening? I didn't understand what was going on specifically. And then what really made it confusing is when Jason can hear the lightsabers. And it's like, all right, well, if you can hear lightsabers, then that means that you're like physically hearing this fight going on. And it's like, okay, well, maybe this is something that the force is manifesting to Jason. But then Hera could hear the lightsabers too. Like Hera's standing right next to her, like, oh yeah, I can hear it too. All right, guys, we got to get out and get it. And like, well, wait a minute. Like, okay, is this really happening? How is Hera hearing the lightsabers if Jason, like, again, Jason being force sensitive? Okay, I get it. So that completely, like, that took me completely out of the story at that moment. I was like, all right, I'm trying to figure this out. And the entire time, when you take anybody out of the story, if anytime you take your audience out of the story, you've screwed up. Because if I got to sit here and try to postulate, all right, what's happening here? Let me think about this for a minute. Let me figure out how is it that Hera can hear these lightsabers if this is all manifesting in Ahsoka's head, or if this is all a near-death experience and Ahsoka's just really down there floating in the water and, that's all that's really happening. But in her mind, this whole world between worlds situation with Anakin is playing out and her revisiting her past. That's where that's playing out. It just didn't make any sense. But the moment, like you said, of the sequence, we get what that's about. That's her dealing with her past and the demons and the problems that she's having. Absolutely.
Right.
So
our review.
My only pushback on all that is in it would have helped if they would have shown her struggling with that in previous episodes. Like it never said, she never talked about it. Nobody ever said you're dealing with all the stuff with Anakin turning all. There was none of that. There was literally not one thing of dialogue or scene to show that she was struggling there with her past.
They didn't build that story up.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Nick. 1,000% right, because that's one of the complaints I had about the first 3 episodes is that Ahsoka has to have something she's dealing with. She's the central character. What is she dealing with internally that's messing up her relationship with Sabine? Because that's obviously what they were setting up. She and Sabine had some sort of falling out. They never really dealt with that. They never showed us what that exactly was. It's like, show us the scene, show us the moment where Sabine and Ahsoka were falling out, and then show why, Ahsoka's dealing with all of these problems. It's, how Anakin trained her, and she feels like she's taking on this legacy, and she's trying to change the legacy of what Darth Vader, Anakin is basically, she's Darth Vader's Padawan. How does she deal with that when she's now has her own Padawan? How do we deal with this? They never touched on that. They never discussed it. And that's a big problem with the storytelling, when it comes to these characters. That's why I said for the first 3 episodes, I didn't get any sense of who the character of Ahsoka was when it came to this series. I know who she is with the Clone Wars. I know who she is with Rebels. I have no idea who she is right now And they never explored that until episode 4. Then we start getting little tidbits here and there. And then finally it comes to fruition in episode 5. And that's why I liked episode 5, because, okay, finally we're getting a damn character here. Okay, we finally get something. We got something we can sink our teeth into. So I enjoy that. But like Nick said, that should have been set up from the beginning.
And I see people chatting, like, some of y'all getting salty now because you don't like our opinions. Like, but you don't have to agree. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, don't agree with me. I like disagreement. I have no problem with that.
The thing that I would say that I agree with both of y'all is that in the first 4 episodes of Ahsoka, I never got a sense, and I never heard anybody else say Ahsoka really needs to be redeemed, y'all. No one said that because you didn't know she needed it. That's the point. And now all of a sudden, episode 5, she needs to be redeemed. And it's like, wait a minute, she does? They just didn't do enough to lead us there. But anyways,
and they had the time. They could have cut out all the slow walking and looking around. You cut all that crap out and start giving us some meat on the bone here, and something to where we know what's going on. It makes sense. It's just like, come on, guys, what are you doing? And this is one of the issues I have with Filoni is a writer. I just don't think he's that good. I think he did some good stuff with the Clone Wars, with the team of people he had back when George Lucas owned Lucasfilm. But what he's doing now, I'm not seeing like Favreau. I got a lot more faith in him. He's proven with all his past projects and stuff. But Filoni, I'm really questioning him. Being over the franchise moving forward, just because of his writing.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep rolling. I wanted to show this.